Episode 134, The Benefits of One-on-One Coaching with Heather Rasband.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a highly trained, experienced life coach making a great impact in the lives of their clients. And together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with a coach? Here we go.
This is episode 134. Each episode has been a conversation with a coach. The question for you, the listener, is have you taken the leap and signed up for coaching yourself? The great thing about coaching is that there are so many different ways to receive coaching, and as many coaching styles as there are coaches. So if you have worries about being vulnerable and sharing the things that are holding you back, it's almost a guarantee that you will find a coach here that you will feel safe with and who will help you up-level your life. An amazing way to get coached is through one-on-one coaching, and Coach Heather Rasband is here talking all about why one-on-one coaching is a great option to receive the guidance and support you need. We are all big fans of coaching here, so listen to this episode and then hire yourself a coach so you can go from having a good life to having an amazing life.
Welcome to the podcast today. I am excited to have with me Coach Heather Rasband. Hey, Heather.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks for inviting me on.
Hey, I always love having everybody with me. It's so fun for me to have these conversations, and I think helpful for people that are listening. So I am so glad to have you here. Heather has been on with me before. It's been a while. So you can always go back and listen to her previous podcast with us if you would like to. And in fact, we'll probably link to that in the show notes so you can find it easily. But Heather, I would still love to have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you before we get going.
Sure. Thanks. So like you said, I'm Heather Rasband. I'll do personal stuff. I live in Utah, up in Heber Valley. It's up by Park City, and we get lots of snow, record amount of snow this year, lots of skiing and snowboarding and stuff. I have 5 kids. My 4th child just graduated this year, so we have one more left at home. So I'm in the beginning phases of adult children and older teenage kids and stuff. And every phase has its challenges and rewards, just put it that way. Married for a long time, 25 plus years. So everything's good on the home front. I am obviously a life coach, certified through the life coach school, and I specialize in just doing one-on-one coaching, general one-on-one coaching. So I coach women on anything they want to be coached on.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of what we're going to talk about today. And I'm actually really excited to have this conversation because obviously everybody who's here on the podcast with me is a life coach, but I don't know that we always specifically talk about, obviously we think it's important because it's what we do, but I just like talking about what coaching is and how people can benefit from it. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with you today.
Oh, good. Me too. Thank you. Yeah. And I agree. I think we get into what we coaches call our niche or our target, like topics that we coach on and forget to, talk about just the importance of coaching in and of itself. So this will be a fun discussion.
Yeah, it really will. So, as we get started here, I will just kind of share a little bit for me, like how I found coaching. And I've probably shared this on here before. I know that I have, but I didn't even know. In fact, somebody asked me, it's been probably last summer, one of my cousins was visiting and asked me why I started coaching or how I found coaching. And I just said, I didn't even know that I needed it. I didn't even know that this coaching or running a directory is what I wanted to do. I had no idea. But it wasn't until I kind of started dabbling with working with a life coach that I started to discover all of these things inside of me that I had no idea were there, that I wanted to develop, that I wanted to explore. And it it's changed my life. I'm a totally different person because of that. And my life was totally fine. Like I was happy and things were great. And I didn't have a whole lot of frustration or annoyances in my life. Obviously we all have people that frustrate us and annoy us, right? Maybe I should say obviously we all do, but I did. And I worked through a lot of that, but in doing so, I found this piece of my life that I had no idea even existed.
Mm-hmm. So to go back to your thought that I didn't know I needed coaching.
Yeah.
Most of the time when women come to me, they are seeking out coaching. They know they need it. They're having a struggle of some sort, or they want to improve something in their lives. But sometimes, like I'm the same. I sought out coaching because I wanted to do it as a career. I didn't think I personally really needed coaching or to improve my life. I hadn't been listening to podcasts. I hadn't done anything. But when I got in and started to go through the certification process, I was totally amazed at how much I needed coaching.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it helped my mindset. I had some really serious money issues that I had grown up with that I didn't know that were holding me back financially, some relationship things. So my marriage is so much better. And it was fine before, but it's so much better now. Having adult and teenage children, I mean, coaching is just so valuable for that age group. And then to get a business up and running takes a lot of emotional fortitude, shall we say, and coaching has helped me with that. So yeah, I think even when I've had clients who get in and they have a specific topic that they want coaching on that they're struggling with, and we work on that and we work through it, but they can see the power of coaching and they end up usually working with me for a longer period of time than they had anticipated because they're like, well, now can you help me with this? And now I can see this. And now what about this? So it's just really fun to get in and see all the things that we can up level in our lives, even when we're not in misery.
Yeah. It's amazing. So as we talk about the effect that it's had on yours and my life, we probably should maybe go back a little bit and just maybe talk about what coaching is and even what coaching isn't, give people an idea of what that looks like. So what would you say to answer that question? What is it?
One of the best descriptions that I have heard of coaching, it's like an arm of the mental health field, kind of therapy. It's part of that, but it's different. So if you were seeing a therapist or counselor, they're usually there to take people who are not functioning well in everyday life and bring them from down here to up here to function in everyday life. A life coach, well, and let's stick with the therapist. Many therapists who are trained, they go back into the past and help resolve things in the past, maybe past traumas, abuse, things that happened to help you function better and get up to daily functioning. Life coaching takes people who are functioning fairly well on a daily basis, like you and I said, we both were functioning well on a daily basis, but we look at a specific thing that might be bothering you that you can't seem to shake, or just up level your life in general. So we take you from the everyday functioning into something more amazing. So that's how I would, and life coaching, at least the type of life coaching that we do, is future focused. We don't go way back into the past and bring up all of these past hurts. We do acknowledge them and talk about them sometimes, but we want to say, so yes, this happened to you, acknowledge that, validate it. And then we say, what do you want to do with it now? How do you want to move forward? So it's a very future focused modality that we use with the training that we have. And so I would say that's the biggest difference, is we're propelling you into the future and what you want your future to look like. Like, I think a lot of people come to coaching and don't realize that they can actually create tomorrow.
Yeah.
They just think things are happening to them.
There's something so powerful about learning to be intentional about what you're creating rather than just letting life happen and being, you're just at the whim of the circumstances that are going on around you, and learning how to access your own intuition and look forward and create something that is what you want is so powerful.
I call it living on purpose.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a variety of ways as we look in the coaching world that people can receive coaching. So there's like self-paced programs, right? Where people can maybe buy a course or do some things like that. There's group coaching programs, there's group memberships, there's one-on-one coaching. There is options out there. What do you feel? And today we're specifically talking about one-on-one coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be like you working specifically with a coach, right? So that would be one-on-one coaching versus somebody who is like with a group of people working with one coach. So what do you feel is the real power of that one-on-one coaching for people?
I think the first time that I tapped into that, I was going through an advanced certification program with someone she's an amazing coach, and she runs a group coaching program, which means people join her membership and they have access to all kinds of group calls and lessons, but there's no one-on-one coaching. Mm-hmm. So we, as her coaches in trainee, got to coach her clients for, I think she opened it up for a couple of months to practice the new skills she was teaching us. And I had client after client come to these sessions, and they got like 3 in a row is what they got to do. And they would say to me, I can't believe the progress that I have made in just these 3 private sessions. Like, I've been in this group coaching program, and it's been amazing and really, really helped me for a year or 2 years, but I've made more progress in my 3 private sessions than I have in 2 years in this group coaching program. And when I had client after, like, multiple people say this to me, I went, this is definitely different than being in a group. And it is beneficial in a group to see people get coached and to maybe raise your hand and have a chance to talk. But with the private coaching, it's all about you. Because sometimes if you're in a group coach setting, there are things in your life that you may not want to talk about in front of other people, really private things, or things that were very hurtful or that you're struggling with, or even things that are kind of socially taboo. Mm-hmm. And in a private session, you can just lay it all on the line and get the help that you need that's personalized to you. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it answers my question really well. And I have worked in both of, I have been the recipient. I've been the client working with a one-on-one coach, and I've been the client in a group setting. And for sure, I have benefited in both areas, right? It really just depends on where you are, but there is something magical about one-on-one coaching, I will say.
Yeah.
And I go through phases, I'm back with the one-on-one coach right now, but I'm typically always in some sort of a group program. But right now I was like, there are some specific things that I am working on that I hired a one-on-one coach for. And I love it. It's so good for me. So
yeah, I think that's the thing, is that there's a specific, and then you have the one person, and you build a relationship with that coach. You trust that coach. And I've had clients who've come to me and we've talked about one thing. And then once they feel comfortable with me and know that they are in a safe place to talk, then they really open up about, this is actually the real issue. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes they'll even tell me and coach on things I've never told anyone this before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which sometimes it's too vulnerable to do that in a group coaching setting.
Yeah. So I do know, and you mentioned this, for some people, one-on-one coaching does feel scary, right? It feels like it might be just too vulnerable. There's no place to hide. Like, there's nobody else to listen to and let talk, right? Like, it's you. Right. And what would you say to people who are nervous about that, with just the vulnerability of working with just one person?
I would say, even maybe if you felt really vulnerable, to maybe try group coaching first and see what it's like. Mm-hmm. But if you're feeling that on the inside of, I really have some stuff I want to talk specifically to someone with, but it seems scary, interview your coaches, maybe pick out 2 or 3 and then interview and see who fits best with your personality. Mm-hmm. But every coach creates a safe space for their clients. And so I think if you're nervous, it's that you have to be willing to trust that someone is there and is creating space for you to tell your story.
Yeah. And don't you think that nervous for me, I've had to learn, is usually the precursor to some amazing things that are going to happen for me. Like
For
I
sure.
feel nervous for situations, and I've just learned to like interpret that differently. Nervous doesn't mean stop, let's not do this. Nervous means, oh, I've got some work to do here, and there's amazing things on the other side.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good point. The more nervous you feel about doing coaching, probably the more you need to do it.
Yeah.
Because you've got some stuff there that you need to work on. Yeah, that's a good point. Mm-hmm.
So I know there are a lot of people who feel they just wouldn't benefit from coaching, and probably, like you or I, you were saying in the beginning that we didn't really feel like it was anything that we really quote unquote needed. We felt pretty great with where our life was. But what have you found to be some of the reasons that people hesitate from entering into one-on-one coaching, aside from, I just don't really think that it's something that I really need? Do you see anything else that comes up for people?
I would say, number one, awareness. Some people aren't even aware of one-on coaching. Like, oh, I can do that. What's that? What's a coach? So just being unaware that even exists probably is number one. Possibly being afraid. I haven't found, there are some who feel afraid, but I would say most people who are looking into it are not. They're like, I want help with something. Other things that hold people back, definitely cost. It depends. There's such a wide range of price ranges for coaching. So some people think coaching is incredibly expensive. I've made my program not, because I want it to be accessible to everyone who wants it. Maybe time commitment, thinking I don't have time to do this. I know too that some people are afraid because some coaches can come out, like I said before, this is a personality thing. Some coaches can be very strong, and the client feels like they might be blamed or shamed for things that they've done. That's not the way I coach. I coach with a very compassionate, helping you see that you did create this and create something new, but that you're not a bad person for living the way that you were before. So I would say avoiding uncomfortable emotions like shame or guilt would be another reason to avoid it. So time, money, aren't those always the things, the constraints everybody deals with? Time, money, and fear, and maybe shame. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head to avoid. I'm just so pro coaching that it's hard to think of the negatives,
I know it really is. And I know as a mom, even, I'm in the same situation as you right now. I've got 4, you've got 5, I've got 4. And my second to youngest just graduated from high school as well. So I'm like looking at having one child at home and seeing my kids making decisions and living their lives. I'm always like, there's so much they could benefit from, from some coaching, but they don't always want to hear that from mom, right? Like, it's like, yeah, mom, let's not talk about that. Don't try to coach me.
Well, I think you're hitting the nail on the head with something with women that I didn't bring up, is many of us feel like we don't deserve it. I'm fine. We put everybody else before us. Everybody else's needs are before us, especially if you're a mom. It's conditioned. Society has done such a great job conditioning women to be selfless servants, especially if you're a wife and a mother. So everybody else's needs come before yours. And how can I spend money on me to do something as frivolous as coaching or this or that or whatever? So sometimes we have a hard time doing something for ourselves. And what women don't realize is that when you are coaching, you are benefiting everybody in your family, because you are so much, I don't want to say so much better, but you react better, you think better, your relationships are, all of this is better. So even investing in yourself for private coaching is going to positively affect everything in your life and your relationships and your family and your marriage. So I think that's a holdback. Sometimes they're like, oh, I can't spend the money just on me. When you'd go turn right around and spend the same amount of money on soccer lessons for your kid.
Yeah.
and not
So
think a
true.
second thing about it,
So true. I had one of my friends tell me a while back that she'd been having a conversation with one of my children. And this child had said, our experience at home is night and day different from before my mom found life coaching to now. Like it's very different. And I didn't realize that there was that much of a difference, but obviously my children did. And they felt a difference. And I for sure felt a difference. Things felt different, but I didn't realize that it was that they had noticed so much. And so you are totally right. Like the work that we do has an effect on all the relationships around us, especially those in our home.
Take this on just a side note for a second. I think the way we learn to parent kind of just through outside, that we kind of absorb in life has a very heavy emphasis on controlling. And even the way we learn to relationship with one another has a very heavy emphasis on controlling the other person. You didn't do that. You hurt my feelings. Or with your kid, you have to do this. You have to do, I need you to do this kind of type thing. And life coaching takes such a different approach to parenting and relationships that it is a big shift. You go from trying to control your kids and what they're supposed to do to controlling yourself.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference to everybody else. So that was just, once you were saying the big difference, but that's probably the shift because we go from trying to control everybody to turning it around and controlling ourselves and then showing up as the mom we've always wanted to be, still having boundaries and rules and whatnot, but in such a different headspace.
Such a different experience and so much more fun, honestly.
Oh, for sure. For you and your kids.
Yes, for everybody, There's so much more laughter in my home. There's so much more, I don't know, just peace and enjoyment and all those things because I have learned things that like I said, didn't know that I really even needed or wanted in my life. So it's been a treasure. Anyway, I'm going to go back a little bit to like what I've done with my kid. Not what I've done. I haven't done anything to my kids, but maybe this might be, maybe this is controlling. I don't know, but I've known that I've wanted them to have these tools in their lives. And there are some amazing teen coaches out there that are like sports people that work with athletes, people that work with, just different. And so I have like been able to bring coaching into their life under the guise maybe of, hey, this person works with athletes and let's help improve your game a little bit or whatever. And so they're like all for it because they don't see it as there's something wrong with me. And there isn't, I don't see that there's something wrong with them either. I just know that there is more available to them. So there's so many different options of ways that we can bring these tools into our home. It's not even just through us. Like we can help our children. There's people that work with missionaries. There's people that work with, some of our missionaries come home and they're really struggling because it's a big change, right? Like there is so many different ways you can bring these tools into your home to help make the experience for everybody so different.
Oh, I agree. And finding into like me, I'm just a general coach, but I'm a general coach. You can come to me with anything that you want. But there's so many specific coaches. I know a woman who is a coach who does coaching for women who want to tone their arms. And that is what she talks about. So if you have something super specific, there's somebody out there for you.
Yeah.
Or something that you want to incorporate with your teenagers or your kids. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you said, you are a general life coach, meaning any people could bring any topic to you. And that's one of the tabs. Like if people come to our directory, they can select just general life coach, and all the coaches that are specifically general life coaches will come up there. You are obviously one of them, but is there reoccurring themes that people seem to come to you with? Is there like, yes, you're general, you can coach on anything, but do you find that there are themes? There are things that people bring more and more.
One of these is probably going to surprise you, but the other one won't. Relationships, hands down, relationships. And the number one relationship struggle, and it's across the board because I work for a big company as well as have my own private business is marriage. So I coach people from all over the world, time zones, all kinds of cultures, marriage.
Okay.
And let's think about it. It is the closest, most important relationship in our lives, who you're married to. And so, of course, there's the most conflict and the most working around things and compromise and, and all the things. So marriage, definitely number one that I coach on, and any relationship in general. And it's usually a family thing, in-laws, siblings. Children is a close second, especially teenagers or adult children. And especially if they are not kind of going down that path you thought they would. And surprisingly, this one surprised me. Time management. People come to me all the time. I can't get anything done. Why can't I get anything done? I've got these priorities or these goals or these things, and I can't get anything done. So relationships is definitely number one, heavy, like probably 60%. But the other one is definitely time management. And then another really high ranking one is self-esteem in some regard, your self-worth, what you think of yourself. So those would be my top three.
That subject, self-esteem, self-worth, secretly like infiltrates almost everything else, right? Like it seeps into the relationships, I'm assuming. It seeps into time management. It's all there too. So, but relationships, they're so important, right? And I'm so glad people are seeking coaching for that, because they're what we get to take with us. They're what goes with us when we leave this earth. And so why would we not want to spend the time to help them to be beautiful and wonderful now, and so that we get to experience them forever?
Well, right. And if you can, even on this earth, improve your relationships or how you even think about it or deal with it, you're so much happier. Even if you have a difficult person in your life who's always going to be that difficult person, the way you react and think about them and deal with them can make your life so much better. So, yeah. And another thing about relationships, what has been interesting, so many things are relationships that we don't think about. Our relationship with food, that's another really big one I coach on. Relationship with food, our relationship with money, our relationship with our free time. I mean, just how we interact with all of those things around us. I coach. Yeah. And I'm like, now that you've got me going, I'm like, yep, coach on that, coach on that.
Oh, it's awesome. Are we glad? I'm always thankful. And in fact, this is almost in all of my prayers, that I am so grateful that I was led to this avenue, to this tool in my life, because it has had such an immense effect on everything, on every relationship in my life, and on my relationship with myself, especially my relationship with God. So many things have been affected because of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Heather, I'm sure you and I could talk about the pros of this all day long, but I would love for you, before we leave, to share with people where they can get more of you, find more of you. How can people find you?
Well, I'm obviously listed on the LDS Life Coach page. Okay. I am there. And then my website is my name, heatherrasbandcoaching.com. And it takes you right. If you just put that in, you'll find the homepage. You can read about me, look up, get on my email list if you want to. There's a work with me page. If you click on that, you can book a free consultation. A little bit about my program. So easy. It's so easy. I've made it so easy for everybody. It's weekly coaching, 30-minute sessions, because like I said, time constraints, but everybody's got 30 minutes a week to work on their brain. And it's only $249 a month. There's no program. There's no set time. You come in, you pay for your monthly sessions. You can do 1 month of coaching with me, or you can coach with me forever and ever. I've had most of my clients minimum to start seeing results. This is always what people ask me. Well, when am I going to start feeling better? When am I going to see some results? I would say 3 or 4 months, when you start to really notice a difference in how you're reacting and feeling. And then if you just want to keep going, my clients who've been with me with a year plus, They're just like, my life is so different. I am a different, in a good way. I am a different person in such a good way. And we just keep on going. So,
Well, I love that format, and I'm excited for people to see that and have that as an option. I will say I have a friend, a dear friend who works with one of the coaches here on the directory, and she has said to me, and she's worked with her for quite a while, my life is completely unrecognizable from where I was a year ago when I asked you, who should I work with? Send me to somebody. And knowing her specific needs, and I knew where to send her. And so to echo what you've said, those people, like, our lives look completely different. And often people might not even think that there's anything that really needs to be different. Like, they might see some small things, they might see a relationship here and there. But if you're one of those people who's like, yeah, I'm good, I like want to challenge you to say, okay, but let's, like, what if it could be better? What if there's more?
Right. What if you think your life is amazing and then you get in and you do coaching and you're like, oh, now my life is amazing.
Yeah.
My life was good before, but it's amazing now.
Yeah.
I just want to leave if you're feeling, your main emotions in life, or you feel this a lot of frustration, anxiety, anxiousness, you're worried, or you're kind of unsatisfied. Like, I thought my life would be better, or I've checked the boxes X, Y, and Z. On the outside, I look like I have a good life, but I'm so dissatisfied and unhappy. Those are all like little flags that, hey, there's something to work on there.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because oftentimes we don't really know what's off, or that there's something, but we can feel it. We can feel something.
Yes.
And we need to learn to listen to those things, because our body really does know what we need if we can listen and pay attention. And so, like, recognizing those feelings, I think we're pretty good at, like, noticing that there's something that's just not quite right. We feel a little bit off. If you can start to pay attention to that feeling, and especially those feelings that you just shared, I think are really good flags. I think if they could be labeled, they'd be like, hey, waving a flag up, like, listen to me. So,
and I'd like to just say, if you're feeling those feelings, frustrated, anxious, nervous, unsatisfied, that's it's not quote unquote normal. Yeah, we go through periods where we feel that occasionally, but if you feel that all the time, come see me. I can help you. We can make you better. Get it in, a normal range. So it's not the overall, or like the go-to feeling that you have all the time. So
for sure. Well, Heather, thank you so much. We will link to all of the places that they can find you in our show notes. And I'm certain if any of you have questions as well, you could just email Heather and she'd be happy to answer those questions. And I'm glad to have you here with me today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast. It was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Heather. And thanks to all of you who joined us, and share this with your friends and family, because people around us benefit from it. Like, it benefits all of us, right? Just like in our own homes, as we make changes within our homes, as we start to make them in our communities, other people around us, like, if we spread the message, and there's no way that it can't influence everything in our lives. If we can continue to share it and bring more awareness to it, it will just continue to make things better and better for all of us.
Yes, I agree.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks for being here.
Yep. Bye.
Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.